turned it on, Muffin.
Oh.
Hello everybody, this is Todd from Toad Painting. I'm going to be back with Ollo here. So, this is just the rest of the Godsworn hunt. This is my, basically like my test piece which I did. So I'm going to figure out where is going to be what. 'Cause he has like arm wraps, which I don't actually, the rest of the models don't actually have. So I'm going to base coat the places that I need to know like what colors are. So obviously I'm going to base coat his Speedo and his boots, the same kind of like same base. That, and I'll figure out where the other colors are gonna be like. So, what color do I want his hair? Do I want it black? Do I want it cream like that one? Do I want it like blue maybe? And I'm probably gonna make his bow the same kind of like material of his sword. And then, so I'm just gonna figure out what kind of wrap I want that to be. Because I don't think I want it to do leather wraps. That just look too weird. Because he has like the leather, all leather straps right here. I don't think I want the wraps like that. So if I do the leather wraps like, say, like a cream color, which I normally do wraps, then I don't think what I want to do is his hair that kind of color. So I figure out I want to do the wraps. Also the bow. Actually, I'll probably make the feathers red because, well, it'll match the loincloth. So I might make his hair white and then go into like a teal maybe? Like the same kind of teal as that. Might be interesting. Let's see. And then how am I going to do that? That's just going to be the leather? Yeah. Just I'll make this the greenish kind of leather, same as the straps, because there's no other straps near it, so it can't be confused with anything else. So let's do that. Okay. So let's do some base coating and figure out where it can go where. Basically my thought process behind how I do miniatures. So you don't really want similar colors beside each other too much. So I prefer to have more variety, but without making it too cluttered, right? Because this guy's many shades of red, basically. He's got the reddish burgundy kind of boots. He's got the red loincloth. And then the other guys have like the reddish skin, right? And so then if you're going a lot of red, then you have one cool color, which is the sword. Like chaos sword kind of color. And then everything else is getting neutral. So like the straps are neutral, the guy's boots, like the black parts is all neutral, and the hair is very neutral too. A little bit warm, but it's mostly just neutral. So find the right balance between neutral and, you know, warm or cool tones. So I'm just gonna block out the colors for this guy and see what I want. I'm still thinking those straps. I don't know. So it doesn't have a. This cod piece doesn't show up on the front, but I'll definitely do the back part. It's like a Speedo thing. Very European. Don't want to make his straps the same kind of leather as his boots. Might be a possibility. I do normally do wraps like that cloth. But, I mean, that means I have to introduce another color. I don't want to do blacks. He's already dark skinned. I don't want to do black. Look too muddy from far away. So, I don't like the fact that I've done black skin with black booty parts here. Actually, no, it's not too bad because he's going to have the metal pieces on his kneecaps, so it's actually not bad at all. I didn't realize he has metal kneecaps unlike the rest of them. He's got bad knees, I guess. That's why he's got the bow.
This is your...
I guess I'm just giving him an excuse to fight from the back. Give him gray hair instead of cream hair. The old guy. Old guy with the bow. Don't forget to black out his suit-covered metal pieces. I don't normally block out too much stuff, but since this guy is... everything's kind of isolated on him. He's got like detailed parts, and he's got large swaths of skin which kind of separate it, so it's actually not too bad. They're very fleshy, these guys. What?
Ordered you a lot of other brushes.
Oh, how much?
Well, let's look at it this way, that if you don't like them, I've purchased, like, paint brushes for a future speed painting competition.
Oh, okay.
It's more in that quantity.
So, like...
think, like, more than 50 or something.
Ooh, that's a lot of brushes. Just
Some
sampling.
of them you had to order in, like, 20s.
Of the same size, or...?
Hope you like size 2.
I do like size 2. It's my favorite size. Not for base coating, but pretty much everything else. I don't really go any smaller than size 2.
Yeah, I didn't order you 20 000.
Oh no. Why? Why would you... I don't know. I just don't like small brushes. I'd almost do a lot of my painting with size, what is this, 4? If the tips don't always... I always abuse my 4s too much. I love them and I use them and abuse them, and then their tips kind of go wonky, then I have to use other brushes for the more detailed pieces. Okay. I would think these metal buckle parts would be very chafy on the flesh like this. Must be very uncomfortable. Like right there, a bit the worst. Any kind of movement, like chest movement, supposed to be like pulling a bow back. God damn. Must be chafed raw. Okay. So then, this is gonna be very vibrant red. This will be that greenish leather color. And then this, that strap. Maybe actually I'll make this part vibrant red, and then this strap will be the green, so I have the red kind of in the same area on both back and front. Yeah, let's do that. very tricky spot right there. Between the boot and his upper thigh and that cloth.
Totally off screen.
Yeah, well, you're not missing much. I'm just like jamming it into his upper thigh region. Just don't have any bare white primer, because that's really going to show through. Okay. Let's see. Sesame cream. I was going to do the, the feathers on this guy's thing very vibrant red. Now I can't, because his quiver is also very vibrant red. That means just I'll make the feathers, the fletching part, just make the teal, like the weapon. A cool color. Okay. So I don't know what I'm going to do for the hair or the wraps. I think cream might be good, so then it means this would have to be a different color. I could make them very vibrant red, like the red leather. Yeah, I'll do that. There we go. I like that. Don't need to introduce any more colors to this guy. Oh, actually, so it's like a wrap, and then it's got straps on it. So it's actually going to be two different colors. That's a little more annoying. Annoyingly detailed. Oh well, I'll just make those leather straps the greenish gray like they have all the other buckles and stuff like that. It is kind of annoying. Adds a bit more complexity where it doesn't actually need to be. Because that was just like a strap, like a piece of cloth wrapped around his arms. It's actually a piece of leather or something with straps on it. But like the straps don't even have like a end, like a piece like it's not wrapped around just like two loops. So it's like almost like elastic bands holding his arm wraps together. It's kind of annoying. Anyway. So let's do some base coating on the leathers. No. I was going to do these straps right here, but I want to do that after I've done all the red. So let's do the red. It's always good to have a order priority. Okay. So let's do some red. So what did I highlighted with Color Red Highlight, which is an orange, even though it just says it's a red. So mostly orange with a little bit of that red mixed in, just for the general highlighting, and I'll do a little bit of pure orange afterwards. So I'm going to do the inner part of this guy's arm wrap parts, the red cloth, with the greenish gray straps holding it in. Give us a bit of texture here, because it's... might as well. Now a highlight of pure. Cat a red highlight. This kind of song, this actually song right here, kind of reminds me of a part in like old Linkin Park song I was in high school. Remember? Don't judge me. It just this reminds me of that piano bit. All right, let's go back to the Kato red base and just blend it in. I'm gonna use a darker color just to do my final shade. And so, pretty sure I just used a black to darken it. It wasn't the sanguine base. They look similar, but they're not quite the same. A little more purple in the sanguine base. In this part, I know I like using 4s, but probably would be a good idea to use a 2 for this one. To help get in the cracks and stuff like that. Without causing too much of a mess on the highlights. So I'm going to change brushes here. Okay, this is gonna be a tricky part right here, I think. Doing the back of his, let's see now. I'm gonna get a nice shade with all still retaining some of that texture, which I painted on. And not making it look too muddy. Okay. That's okay for the first pass. I have to do another pass after it's dried. That was like the general shading. This part right here, there's so little to go on. I'm just gonna just use a very thin version of this paint, just to let it almost be like a wash. Let it kind of go in the crevices and the cracks and stuff like that. I'm not too worried where it goes. Same as this part right here. This is nice and thin. It won't really go on the edges. It'll just stay in the cracks, so doesn't need that much babysitting. Now I can do a final pass on the guy's lower region, his loincloth. Just make sure it's got a nice solid coat. Hopefully it's drying down there. Let's see now. Okay, it was dry enough. And I'm gonna go and just add a little more texture down here. I might go back with a little bit of that orange, like the orange, the Kettle Red highlight and Kettle Red base mix, and just reclaim some areas. But that's probably one of the final steps I'm gonna do. Just reclaiming some areas with some red, just some straight Kettle Red base. They may be a little too dark or too orange. Alright. I started working on those booties of his. And that was highlighted with, let's see, mouth white base. So it's a sanguine base and the mouth white base. Just increasingly brighter. And then I think I did black ink, yeah. I did a black ink over it. Here I'm just kind of making it very textury, just trying to simulate the wear and tear of the boots. And because the folds and creases kind of should be a natural occurring thing in certain directions, right? Because it's how your foot bends, right? See, it's bending in those creased areas, so it'll flow with that. I mean, you could go in there with like a very much finer brush, or at least a better tip brush than what this one is. Add some opposite directions. Just going for scratches. Okay, let me just drop the model. It's fine. Because he's like he's a warrior, right? So pretty lots of scratches going all directions, but not too much, right? Because it'll cause it to go, make it look a little weird if you have it too damaged, right? Okay. Bit more mouth white in there, and then we'll do more highlighting. Final highlight of just pure mouth white, just on the most extreme parts. So, let's see. The most raised edges, basically. Anything like the sharpest edges, I'll just do that. And then I'm going to kind of blend it all together with just a very thin coat of sanguine base, so it doesn't look so pastel-y. But since it's the leather, I did want it to have a bit of a pastel look, less saturation. That's why I'm using the sanguine base. It's not the most saturated color. It's not like the red where it's very saturated, right? Okay. Using a small little detail brush, just gonna get a very thin layer of sanguine base and just using my own saliva just to make it thin, That should be fine, and just coat it. It'll bring back some of the saturation and darken some highlights. And you can play around with how dark some areas are. Kind of reclaim some areas that we made too bright. And then once that's done, we'll go back with black ink and just get those deep recesses, the creases, just get them somewhat dark. There we go. That's almost done as booties. Well, let's drying. Let's do a base coat of his leather straps and such. This is Crickspain base. It is a P3 color, just in dropper bottles because of the bottle broke. Okay, so all these straps here, just this grayish green leather. Is the camera zoomed in too close, you think, Kat?
Yeah, I think so. I think you're just moving it too much for how zoomed you are.
Okay, let me just zoom out. How's that? Just open the window a bit more. Okay. So. This is why I didn't do a red belt on this part right here. I don't really want the reds touching. This is okay, but I don't want like too much red on red action. I want these neutral colors to kind of separate them. It helps models look less messy on the battlefield. Too muddy if it's all similar tones touching each other. So I'm not using like a brass, for example, in this guy. It'd be way too warm. The silver is kind of a cool color. Kind of helps create the boundaries. Okay, and then straps. Stupid handles getting in the way. So even though this is like a green and red combination here, which normally means like Christmas colors, right? The red is very much a Christmas color. It's very bright, very saturated, but the green is very desaturated. It's like an olive kind of color, and so it doesn't really play as Christmas. So you have some like those very classic colors and just play around with like saturations and brightnesses of some things, and even though you have like the red-green kind of look, it won't look like a Christmas color and stuff like that. So you can. So that's one way of going for interesting, unique looks. and not come off as like, oh, that's just, you did a Christmas army. So. If anybody has any questions, just let me know. I think I'm actually using black ink on the buckle or the strap parts, which is good timing because I'm gonna do the same kind of black ink on the guy's boots now too. Let me just drop some stuff first. So this is gonna be armor wash and mixing medium. And kind of the mixing medium is basically the same kind of like pigment or the stuff that the ink is floating in. So I'm adding more of it, so I'm diluting it. So you get more of a gradient, kind of spreads it out more. So I kind of have to gob it on more. So let me show you what ink looks like without this. So this is armor wash, so it's not ink. So here we go. So here's what it looks like. So that's what it looks like without. Just slathered on. It kind of just really goes into the cracks. There's no real gradient going on. It's fine. Let me just mix it into the mixing medium now. About a 50-50. And then adding a bunch more to it. And I'll start removing some places where I don't want it to be. So it's still going in the cracks, but it kind of bleeds out more, and it's got more of a feathering kind of gradient look to it. Though I do still prefer doing inks with this kind of method. The washes are a little too diluted, at least by the P3 standard stuff. I like to use the washes just straight up. Well, inks I like to either do a very thin coat, because they'll just obliterate whatever they're on, so just doing thin coats really helps, or doing mixing mediums. Okay. So I wanted the black ink for these parts.
If your vehicle is making that noise, stop driving.
Yeah. Wow. Impressive. That poor car. Okay. I'm gonna do a little bit, a very thin coat on the bottom, just to darken it all up on here. And I'm especially gonna spread it out on these stitching areas, just to have a nice darker border. I'm gonna probably use like metal for those stitches to give it like a staple kind of look. It gives it more of a cruder kind of look. Okay, so while it's drying, let's do some, do the bow part. Just because I probably would have done the metal at this point, but I've done a lot of ink over top of some of those metal areas, so I don't want the metal bleeding into the ink. So the bow, let's just give it a nice base coat of white first, if we can find it. There we go. Just more white. Even though it's a white primer, I still want to give it a nice white base coat first. I'm going to use my number 4 brush for this one. Okay. I'm also going to do the feathers, the fletching on this thing will look teal as well, so I'm just going to do that before I forget. I'll probably make the shafts of the arrows black, something neutral, not brown. Even though brown is mostly neutral, I'm just going to make one of the more neutral colors, black or white. Can't be much more neutral than that. Oh yeah, then is this part right here. I did the other girl's like codpiece buckle, giant like WWE buckle, championship buckle. I'll do that the same kind of green I did the this guy's sword, right? That kind of chaos metal I'm going for. And that's just like a bird skull, I think. Okay. So the white's still drying. Let's do some metal. So this is radiating platinum. A bit of a brown tinge to it, brownish gray. I normally associate like the bluish kind of steel to more of a steel because like you guys are barbarians. I think they would actually have access to like the steel. So it's more of an iron, a dirty, impure iron. So that's why I'm treating it as such. That's why I'm making all the armor like kind of suit, just covered in carbon. I didn't even bother to wash it off, or more of it as a camouflage. Because my metal is all shiny, right? You put like soot over it to like stop it from being shiny. Because they seem like hunters, right? They have bows and spears and stuff like that. They feel like hunters to me, so they want to ambush their prey. So let's do all the battle damage parts. Let's do a small brush for this part. Go back to my number 2. And then just add all the scratches and dings coming from the edges. And then it does an indent, so I'm going to keep the indents dark. Like the suit got in there, it can't get scratched out because it's harder to reach, right? So any kind of real raised areas like that, just make it shiny, it's all scratched up, all the whatever's on the metal just will be worn away, right? That's what I'm trying to do here, simulate that kind of effect. Because dry brushing kind of does that. A lot of people do that for their metals. Is like steel, dry brush, steel, black wash, and then like a silver dry brush. I'm basically doing almost the same effect, but this is more of a controlled version of it. I also find dry brushing a little too grainy for some things, so especially for detail model like this, I don't want to do that. Okay. Nice earring. Let me just not forget about that. Yeah, the ear's covered too much. I'm gonna deal with that. Okay. Make sure a nice solid coat on his shoulder pad, because it's very important. Okay. Now while that's drying, let's go back to the bow. So we're going to do some basic non-metallic kind of shading look for this part. Going to simulate non-metallic metals and then go back over it with the ink to give it that kind of, I don't know, chaos kind of feel. Unearthly, basically. Nope. He's gone. There we go. Back safe on the desk. So this is just my Mora white and Thamar black. And do it. I don't want to do this too smooth because I want it to simulate more like a, not a great, I don't know if it's gonna be like a stone material or a metal material, like a chaos steel or a. I'm just gonna make it kind of rough. Because not everything has to be perfectly smooth. Nice to have texture in some things. Like the flesh, you normally want it smooth. Nice to have a nice smooth skin. Unless you're doing, for example, like old people. Then you expect them to have rougher, more creased skin, right? So here, their tools, I find their tools and their equipment to be, beat up and dented and whatever. But the skin, well, as you can see, it's not very blemished at all. They're relatively young. So that's the first pass of the gray. Before I forget, I should do this part too. Now let's just do some pure black. And I kind of want to keep it more white than black, just because when I do the inking, it's going to darken it quite a bit. So I can have, if I add more ink, it'll darken it. So I'll just have more area, more way to control it, right? Because it'll look way too dark if I just do the normal non-metallic look right away. So gives you more space to have more colors, more of the ink on it. Because putting ink over the black doesn't look black. It doesn't add any change of tone to that area. It only changes the tone of the white areas, right? Or the gray. To be cognizant of those kind of little details. Okay. So, just try and kind of do extreme shading, high contrast shading where the light would actually hit this thing. Kind of give it like more of like a obsidian kind of look to that non-metallic obsidian. Though obsidian would be way darker, right? But still have very high reflective surfaces that would do that. It's like pure white, kind of like simulating that. Okay, let's do a very thin, very watered down version of black just on the fletching here. And then maybe just wear some of it away with my fingers. Like we're reverse dry brushing. And I'll help to wear away the black and just leave the white paint I painted over it. There we go. I'll go back with a little bit of white and just clean up some of those feathers. Now same dealio with the belt buckle. Not perfect, but I'll go back with white and just add some more highlights in there. Okay, while that's drying, let's go back to the metal. And I was using Costite Flesh wash for the metal parts to give it a bit of a rusty kind of look. So it's rather warm. It's a warmish reddish brown. And I'm going to just do straight. I'm just going to add it into some of these areas. I don't want too much color. I want a little bit, but I want it to pool in like the areas where like the water would, so give it a rusty look. So then once I've done sealing these guys, I'm gonna go back and just add a few more just straight hits of like silver on some areas, more like fresh dings, which would chip away both the suit and the rust, or whatever this. Because Costite could also be like, it's not just rust, but also like dirt or oil. Because a lot of ways to keep your metal from rusting, your steel from rusting, is adding oil. And oil kind of has a brownish kind of tinge to it as well. And then oil will also, it collects dirt, right? So any kind of dust or whatever gets kicked up will also pick up that too. So it's really whatever it is, whatever you want it to be. But I always find it's good to have a bit of brown tinges to your metals. It could be dirt, could be oil, could be rust, whatever you want it to be. Okay. I think that's all the metal. Now it's time to go back to the bow and do some final highlighting on the edges. Just like any kind of non-metallic, just really just edge highlight the hell out of it. I'm not really trying to make this realistic. I'm just trying to make it look cool, interesting, and eye-catching, because it's chaotic. It's whatever the realm of chaos grants these guys. So they'd be like, not really in the realm of like real-world physics, right? So just whatever the rule cool says, just follow that. Make sure all the edges has got a almost pure white tip to it. So it'll be, once I add the ink to it, it's gonna kind of tone it down. And so brighter is better right now. And I can add more ink if I want it darker. But these really bright areas, I want them to have high saturation, so that's why I'm bright as possible. So when I add the ink, it'll keep the brightness white in the area where I want it to be. And I can adjust it by just adding more ink. Okay. So it's, well, pretty crude looking right now. Which is kind of fine because it's a barbarian. They're all about crude but effective things. Now let's do some the fletching on these arrows. Just pick out some of these individual ones. At least the ones that are most visible. You don't have to do all of them, just the ones you can really see. Okay. And now I don't have any room to do my ink, so I'm just going to get a new palette. So this is going to be using turquoise ink for this part. It's another P3 ink. And the trick is do very little. It's very, very strong. So just go small amounts and then work your way up. I like to use my own saliva too to thin it out too. Water, I don't like using it, but my own saliva is pretty good. Okay, then work away from the darker areas to lighter areas. There we go. Maybe too much saliva there. And just build it up. You can even keep some areas just pure white if you want. I'll be going back with some just white paint and reclaiming some areas too. Also with the black too. Because once you add the ink to it, it'll look a little different. So it's good to go back and correct things. Like this part should be much darker here, so I'm going to probably go back and fix that. Which is the first pass of teal. I'll have to go back and do a second one. And then go back and do the white. And then maybe do a third pass of teal. Same with these feathers. Okay, that's all the teal parts, right? Yeah. So while that's drying, let's go to the black and just do the final part of this guy's shoulder pad. This is the sooty part I'm going to add in. And keep it quite dark around the inner parts, and the edges will be more roughed up and worn away, so the bare metal will be showing more. So that's my thought process behind this kind of armor. Actually, we'll go back with a bit of straight silver and just add some scratches. But I think it's going to be after I've done the ceiling, like I said before. Oh, I dried too fast there. That's fine. It has a bit of a harsh border, but I'll go back and just fix it by adding some scritches there with the straight silver. You'll never notice that mistake. Battle damage. You can fix everything with that. Okay. There we go. Let's add a little bit of water. A little bit of water break. How you doing, Kat?
I'm
Alright. So, we do the leather strap still, as well as his booty parts, and then his hair. And also the bow, I guess. I didn't do a good job of base coating the black. Let me just fix that right now. Let's work on the straps now. So this is going to be Mammoth White and Crixbane base. Where did the Crixbane? There we go. Why do I paint? Because I get paid. It's my job. I do enjoy it. I've been painting for myself for 15, 16, 17 years. So I quite enjoy it, like creating and stuff like that. And I just kind of moved into professionally and competitively. I think the thing is, like, the act of painting is, it's not always fun, but it's kind of like interesting. Like, the end result's always the best part, right? Like seeing, like, oh yeah, like it all came together nicely and stuff like that. I don't know if I can help you with that, but it's kind of interesting if you're like painting, like kind of figure out how you like to paint and the choices and stuff like that, because you can definitely kind of like almost like identify a person's who painted by a model by how they painted it, right? The color choices and stuff like that, or at least by how they're being influenced. So I don't know if that helps you or not, but like find your own identity by like seeing what kind of colors, color palettes, stuff like that you like to paint with, styles, the brush sizes too. Like some people love to paint with just tiny little brushes. I hate doing that. I mean, there's lots of little ways you can kind of have an identity. I like to have very saturated colors. I like to have like nice black borders. I know, right? I was struggling a bit when I first started off. It's just...
As someone who does does all the business side of toad painting, it is a really hard industry. And yeah, I think Todd and I had this conversation recently about, well, number one, it's really, really saturated these days. Like, there's so many people who want to paint professionally.
But yes.
There's not, like, a ton of really great opportunities.
It takes a while, right? Like, you can try and paint professionally, but if you don't have the name recognition and the clientele coming in, it's kind of sucks. Right? Like...
Yeah, and it's definitely a long journey. So if it's something you're really passionate about doing, I think it's really important to know that, like, you're not gonna wake up one day with, like, a huge client list. There's, like, a lot of years of, like, it kind of sucks.
Yeah. But it eventually does get better. Like...
You just have to get through the...
Yeah, I find when I started out, I did a lot of, like, batch armies, like, lots of, like, just, like, Space Marine armies, whatever. And it was kind of a real grind and not incredibly fun to paint. And then, eventually you can start, like, picking and choosing what you want to do. So if you like doing, like, monsters or high-quality stuff or batch armies still, then, you know, it really helps motivate you, because... I really enjoy doing, like, big monsters and stuff like that, and all the textures you can do with that. I still do enjoy doing like batch army once in a while, but, like, you know, I do love my big, scary, gribbly textured monsters with, like, all the colored fixings, like.
I also think from, like, a painting professionally perspective, there's kind of three, like, delineated things you can do, like, career goals wise to be successful.
Yeah.
You can own a painting company in which you are the one hustling up all the jobs, and then you're taking, like, a cut off the top of all your painters. Which, if you're, like, really business oriented and you're really great at the hustle, that's great. I don't think you're probably really going to make it in the industry if you're a painter for a company like that. Like, you can probably do a few years of it, but because you need to do such a huge workload to turn it over and, like, make a livable wage, I think most people burn out of that really quick.
Yeah.
You can take the route where, like, you know, you paint really, really high-end stuff, but you're painting mostly for private clients and you're doing teaching. Or you're painting for, like, a commercial studio. But those jobs are really, really hard.
Yeah. Yes.
There's a big reason why all those painting studios turn over artists so frequently. Paint, like, what, how much Todd paints is probably not something that a lot of people would find enjoyable.
Yeah, I paint every single day for many hours. I do try and break it up too. I like to do, like, I like to be creative, so I like to make things, and sometimes painting is, like, you don't have the motivation some days, so I like to sculpt. Like, I make bases and stuff like that, so, like, this is something I sculpted. So I sell bases too, so, like, stuff like this. It's just fun to do, have other creative outlets, just not just painting. But this is more of, like, a side project than a real thing, right?
I mean, it generates revenue, so that's great. I mean, could it be your only thing? No.
No. But those kind of things also do help with, like, it's all a creative process, so, like, figuring out how to sculpt something, like how to do textures and stuff like that, also really helps how to paint the textures too. It's like what kind of materials, right? It's like, I'm making concrete. How do you make concrete? How do you make concrete look good in a physical term, and then also paint concrete and make it look nice and stuff like that. So they kind of all help each other. even sculpting like humans is great. So I can figure out how the anatomy works and then how to paint the anatomy, right? It kind of all comes together. So I do think like those kind of like pretty much any kind of like artistic avenue will help you in pretty much almost all other artistic paths basically. And it kind of helps you, the variety kind of helps, make it a little less painful, I guess. I don't know. Cause
the paint doldrums?
Yeah, it makes it less repetitive, you might say.
I also think there's lots of people that can produce like absolutely beautiful paintwork, and for them it's probably better as a hobby than a profession because it's something they enjoy and they get a lot out of it.
Those guys would normally do like what competitions kind of thing. So they're doing
Painting
like one or two models a year and
awesome, cool stuff.
Yeah, and like kind of, and as a person who does competitions, it's very rewarding when like other people of like your same kind of like peer group, like great painters or people who know a lot about painting, can like validate your work. Because I went to Lock and Load, I got best overall, and it was very satisfying because I spent many hours on my projects painting and sculpting and whatever, and I just like it's very nice to get recognized, even if you don't win overall. Like like get like getting the like silver, bronze, gold coins. So it's just a nice way to do that, and kind of helps motivate me. Because if I had gone to Lock and Load and got no bronze, silver coins or winning anything, it'd be kind of depressing. But but then every year I like to try to do new things. So like last year was a lot about like a lot of lighting. So I did those the witches, and it was pretty much all OSL, and this is playing around with all that kind of stuff. And this year is more about like kind of because it was like last year was like pure OSL. It was like almost no colors, just like oranges and blues of like fires and like moonlight. And then this was more of like way more subtle because I had more of like a sky reflecting off metal pieces and stuff like that, and more like the sky reflecting off of like backlighting things. And so it was just kind of like doing like different styles and not different styles, different techniques and methods, and kind of like blending them together. So instead of taking like a really harsh and contrasting thing, make it more subtle and more natural. Because last year I got a gold coin, but I didn't win overall. And this year I did the more subtle approach, which was kind of fun. First time really doing it, I got best overall. So variety is also a spice of life, kind of thing like that.
It is also really hard to sell like models you've just painted that weren't specifically commissioned.
Yeah, I when I was just starting out, I did do like I would paint up models like units, whatever, on eBay and just try and get like stuff like that. Like it was a nice way to like more advertise for yourself, not really for making money because eBay fees and stuff like that can eat into the profits quite a bit. But like I did get some projects. Oh, you painted this. This is nice. Like, can you do more for me, kind of thing. And then just a nice way to get like a little bit of client list like that. But
if you build a client list, I would say you probably never made a lot of money on those pre-painted models, though.
Oh God, no.
Yeah, they were great for advertising.
But the thing is, like if you have too much invested, like, it is a job. It's like this is not like a hobby to me anymore. This is like a job. So when I'm painting, it's like I'm physically doing a job. Not like when I used to paint for myself before. It was really fun to do this. I want to create this. This is my stuff. I'm keeping this. Now I don't I don't give a hoot what happens to the model after I'm done. Like, oh, this is great. Take a picture. Now it's saved wherever I want. I can look back at it. But it's just like it's gone. I'm shipping it out the next day, basically. And like it's gotta kind of push that all through all mentality. It's like you gotta paint. You gotta keep on doing it. Like, and just because I like to listen to music or watch movies. Like Netflix is great for that kind of stuff. It kind of helps you kind of like have like a basically stimulate all your other senses while you're painting, right? So I like to watch movies I've probably watched before or have a great soundtrack. That really helps me just basically paint. but because I also like to experiment with my commissions. I'll do a lot of like interesting things or like playing around with colors, or just new techniques. And even if it doesn't turn out in your eyes, your client probably won't notice, and it'll be fine. And like I used to like point out mistakes, like I could have done this better, or whatever. Like
Yeah, don't do
yeah,
that.
and like, I've done point at clients, and clients like they would never have noticed in the first place. So it just makes it kind of worse in their eyes. So just like don't do that kind of stuff. But yeah, you just gotta find parts that you like about it, and focus on those things. Because like the physical grinding part of painting, base coating, whatever, it's not very fun. Adding the textures, adding like all the other stuff. I don't like freehanding. That's not very fun for me. But like adding the textures, making it like giving it a nice like vibrant like contrast or textures, all stuff I like doing. So you gotta find out what things you like and kind of play around with that and just make it always a little more new and interesting every single time. Just try different colors, buy some new paints. I don't know if that helps at all. So.
Yeah, I think also just like the mindset of like when you're painting for commission, it's a job. It's not always going to be fun.
Yeah. And also, like for example, these guys. So this is a commission, and so what I was trying to make it interesting for myself is, like I've done a lot of like basic things I've always done before, like the leathers, like the fur. But the new things I was doing is basically like the sword stuff. Like I was just playing around with that. I'm basically trying to. This is like the year of inks for me, basically. And like so, I'm trying to figure out like how to make cool, interesting things with inks, and just play around with that. So this is like my first time really doing stuff like this. I've done similar stuff, but not with like purely with inks. And so this is what I'm trying to do, is like inks, and also the skin tone. I normally do very Caucasian stuff and like very pale, very white, whatever. I can do it pretty well. And then now I'm trying to do more like variety. So this is like a Native American kind of skin tone, and so this is like I'm just like trying to figure out a recipe for it, and I think I found it. I think it's pretty good. So this is just like now it's kind of more of like repetitive thing. So I'm just trying to like refine it and play around with this kind of stuff. But yeah. So that's basically how I try and think of these things. Is always try and make it a little different. Always trying to improve yourself. Always trying to like just have fun. Okay. Let's see. No worries. Okay, so it's still a little too bright. I have to go back and add some more black to this. Because let's see, comparing the bow to the sword, there's a lot of black on that sword, so which is fine. Okay. Try and pool a lot of the ink in this base of the shaft. Okay. So now let's do the booties. That was just greatcoat gray mixed up with moth white, or more white, sorry. So let's just Pick out these little furry bits. I start changing the channel. Try something new and interesting. What do you think, Kat?
You have the power.
Well, maybe next stream or something like that. Have a different theme. Just try it out. How's the camera? Is it okay? Is it in focus? Is it too...
Yeah, I think it's fine.
Okay. Is that a whistle?
Possibly.
Who uses whistles like that? Is it a child?
The worst dollar store toy.
Yeah. Oh my god, yes. Or is that a child screaming?
I'm
Ooh.
thinking it's a scream.
Yeah. Thanks. No, that's a whistle. That's definitely a whistle.
That's a whistle.
Yeah. Some child driving their parent nuts. So you have a big commission you're doing right now, Spotted Orc? Because sometimes commissions can be very daunting if they're like very like a lot of models, or like you have some like you're unused to some of the big models, stuff like that. Like I haven't painted big stuff really. Like and I did the Kinmeth Dragon. God, that was kind of terrifying, but it turned out good. So sometimes you can surprise yourself. Cause I did a Kingdom Death Phoenix before, which is kind of big, but it turned out okay. I personally didn't like it, but it was okay. And then I did the dragon, and I really liked how it turned out. But then I was also playing, I was like, a lot of new things, like airbrushing and inking and texturing, which turned out quite good. It all came together nicely. Okay. Oh, okay. So you painted some miniatures for like presents, it sounds like, right?
Is someone going to jump up and down the trash trunk?
No. It's UPS.
Oh.
No trash happy people. So I'm just going to darken this bow because it's a little too bright. And add a bit more things going on, just like a little more texture. So once I've done this black, I'm going to go back and add some more white specks to it, and then add the ink again. So I want some parts to be almost pure white. Maybe like the tips of these spiky bits. Might be fun to do almost pure white. Because it's a very reflective material. You'd reflect light like that very easily, so you have white points on it. It's getting more of the way I want it to be. Oh! Hey, Papa Zulu. Thanks. Hey, Mini Paint Lurk.
Painter Luke.
Painter Luke, sorry. I'm terrible at reading.
Thank you.
Thanks for the raid.
It's the end of a long week, guys.
Yeah. Yes, I really hate painting miniatures that have like a lot of cleaning to be done. So like, and sometimes you can't clean up all the mold lines and stuff like that. So I do really hate when there's like a visible imperfection. Kind of like, because if it kind of feels like no matter how well you paint it, it's not gonna look good. Because it's like that point's gonna draw the eye, right? So you're always never gonna see that thing. So I like to have my models very clean for that reason alone. It never feels complete once it has like this visible blemish. But I do find some of the WizKids models pretty good though. Like I've got the Beholder, which I want to paint. Maybe
No, that's different.
Is that? I'm pretty sure it's the WizKids. I think it's the WizKids.
No, that's Nozzle or whatever.
I think it's by WizKids, isn't it? Well, okay, fine. Maybe I'm just wrong. It still has a lot of work to be done.
Yes.
But it's a very nice model. Oh, it is the. Is it WizKids the Beholder?
I know WizKids also did some older, like, pre-painted stuff that was
Oh, yes.
in more of, like, a blob category.
You're talking about the gelatinous cube, or... No. Okay.
I do think that gelatinous cube is hilarious, that one that you can just put over other things.
Yeah, that was kind of well designed, so...
Yeah, someone had, like, an amazing idea and it just panned right out. Yeah, and definitely not all miniatures are created equal.
Yes. Like, Games Workshop, very nice looking miniatures.
Versus, you've probably seen enough Gloomhaven for several lifetimes.
Oh, yes. Well, I do find in general, board game miniatures not the greatest quality. Some have some great sculpts, just maybe not the greatest materials, you might say. So how's it going, Zulu? I haven't seen you in forever. Then again, I also haven't been on forever because of lock and load and stuff like that. It was a very busy week. Be on the road? Oh, same here. Thank you. with my with my piggies. One of my favorite factions too, but it's like for somebody else, unfortunately. The entry that I did, it was these guys. Let me just show them off again, because why not?
Enjoy them while they're here.
Yeah, because I'm giving them back to their owner next week. So. Yeah. So these are Pharaoh Valkyries. So I don't know if you can see the texture and the fur and stuff like that. Thanks. So there's like a lot of like firsts with this thing. Like I was trying out like the first kind of like the blue, little bit of blue hints on the metal, kind of how like metal reflects, right? So it's reflecting the sky, so it's reflecting. It's a little bit on like some parts, like right there. It's kind of hard to tell with this guy compared to this. Is very blue right here, but in person, there's a bit more blue on like the shiny bits, as well as like doing all this kind of stuff. This is my first time doing this kind of like texture and material. It turned out very easy and very fast. This was like my normal sand gravel I use for basing, and then I took some dollar store white paint and just like did a mix, so it turned into like a concrete kind of thing, like a paste, and then just started plattering them. And actually, it turned out quite well because like I did pretty much all this in one go, and it held together very well. Like it was very firm, and it did a hard edge like this. And so basically, this is like I did. I kind of based it around tinfoil, put the jack in with hot glue, and then smothered the hell out of it with this paint gravel mixture. Though in hindsight, if you're doing kind of just like this, don't use white paint. Go and buy like a black or a brown, whatever kind of color you're using for the gravel. Because like if this chips, you're gonna see pure white over it, which is gonna be very distracting. So it'll be less maintenance that way. And yeah, so this is popsicle stick right here. So thank you.
Believe it or not, Zoo, someone is going to play with these.
Yeah, I mean, I would just keep it on this, but then again, I do a lot of high quality stuff just for like this. And then my other entry, which also won its category, because that one I just showed you went overall, so I beat everybody. This is my category for the diorama. This is my Ashta Ashlyn. So I sculpted pretty much everything here except for her, because she's on she's got the flaming wings, and she's got flaming her base. She has like a flame sculpted coming up her legs, and so I had to basically try to merge my flames into her flames and make it look, seamless. And so it was kind of a bit of a challenge there, but sculpted all this, sculpted all the back. This is all just like Fimo. If I can scratch off the paint, it's like here, let me show you what the Fimo looks like when it's not painted. Bam! It's neon green. I normally use I've been using a cream color now, but like, so as you can see the tin foil, I blocked it out and then just smothered a Fimo on and just pinned onto the base. This is nice because it's actually my own, so I keep it.
So now that you've conquered the Grandmasters, are the demons next?
No, the demons are a little less intriguing for me because there's not enough. There's not like really like a
prize.
There's no prize. It's like the Grandmasters for Private Press has money, has cash, so I win it and get some like incentive for like painting for such a long thing, right? Like I spent weeks painting this model and I get money back, which is nice, as well as like a award. Well, the Golden Demons is like I get a trophy, and then that's it. I guess I also get like prestige and stuff like that, but this was a fun guy to paint. Thank you. It's like this is kind of like a slog because all this like similar, but like it was really fun to painting her the metal reflections and stuff like that. That was just fun because like first time really doing that kind of stuff, and I really didn't know if I was gonna pull it out, but it was very nice. It's kind of like a OSL kind of mix with metallics and stuff like that, as well as doing backlighting on her face, because like all light's coming from the back of her head. So I did okay job. I probably could have done a little better, but for my first time doing it, I think I'm happy with it. I love how the sword turned out too. The sword turned out quite well.
I'm really interested to see these Hero Forge bronzes, I must say.
Yeah, that'd be Yeah,
They're coming.
yeah, they're coming.
Just
Good.
in the mail.
Cool. Sorry, I haven't been reading anything.
You'll have to tell us what days work streaming wise for you, so we can make sure you can see them.
Yeah. Okay. And then what else? My Rocket Girl, I
Took no photos of.
yeah, I was pretty terrible. I didn't finish my entries. I finished them. I painted them on the day of in the actual convention. So, and then the Rocket Girl, which like 10, 15 other people did, it was for a charity. So we all left them there for the charity guy to pick them up. And they were gonna raffle them off. So if you see the Rocket Girl charity, it's for PTSD. I think I forget the name of the charity. Well, I did the Captain America one, which is kind of ironic because I'm a Canadian. And then I also
we'll link it if the raffle happens.
Yes, and then I did. In my bag I have. I also did like the Swamp Siren.
Well, that's old.
Yeah, it's old, but it was fun because I was doing texture on her, so I was doing a lot of like gradients over top of textures and under top of textures. So I was just playing around with that.
Back to Ollo.
Back to Ollo. Got half an hour to finish this guy, so. Yeah, so exactly. She does a very cinematic look, so that's why I wanted to give her the very dramatic, like, city falling apart. So she's standing on like a ruined, collapsing city. So that was what the story behind her was. So hopefully it translated well. But pretty much any kind of like piece I do for competitions, I like to have a bit of a story. Because like the Pharaoh, they're like busting through a trench and like not just knock down and like destroy the jack that fell through the trench. So that was the kind of like the story. Kind of gives it a bit of a dynamic. That's what pushed mine over the edge to like win the best overall, because it kind of had like a good feel to it, right? So I've done a lot of static stuff, and I really find static stuff looks terrible. But you can't go too dynamic, because some things, if you can't do like really like bullets and smokes and all stuff like that, make it look really dynamic, it kind of loses. It doesn't feel like it comes together properly, and that can also take away too. So like a fine line of like being too dynamic and being too static, right? You gotta find the nice balance. So that's my that's how I do my competition piece.
On competitions?
Yeah. So I've been going to the Grandmaster and Privateer Press lock and load for a while now. I also know what they like too. So they like more earthy, down to earth stuff. Not so much like really flashy, colorful things. They like the more, neutral kind of things. Still good to have flashy pieces, but the whole thing can't be like pure flash. From what I gathered of their judges. And every painting competition is different. It's all about... So the judges, sometimes judges think like certain colors are harder to paint than others, and so we'll judge people harshly or better depending on their color choices, as well as the composition of colors, right? One year I got silver coin. I got best in category, but I got silver coin. I didn't get a gold coin because my colors were off. The model was too cool, and the base was too warm, so it kind of drew the eye towards the base and not away from the model. And then the year after that, I went too warm. I did whirlpools, and they're all warm. It was all reds and browns and stuff like that. And then they're like, yeah, you need some cools to balance it out. And so here, with my these guys, it's all very warm. They're like, this is all like a yellowy, reddish, all red, burgundy red, whatever. But then I wanted a bit of cool colors, so that's why I added the blue, like the shine from the sky reflecting off, so it adds a bit of more balance to it. And also, pretty much all the fronts highlighted with like sanguine, mouth white, and the back, it's all done with like icy blue. So like this is all blue cool tones in the back. You can see a bit of like blue on some of this area right here. It's basically the sky backlighting it. Not the sun's coming from this direction, and the sky's backlighting from this back area. So. Just little things like that can help you push you over the edge. I was kind of scared because, like, if you look at these guys, they have black fur, but would have like pink faces. And so, what other animal has that? Monkeys. So I thought maybe they might like, this is too monkeyish, it might distract from it. But like you can see with her, it doesn't look too monkeyish. But I was kind of scared they might see it that way. Okay, what am I doing with these guys? I'm doing something. If you have any questions, just let me know. About painting or competitions, stuff like that. Okay. So yeah, now this is what I was more looking for here. This is more of a similar kind of contrast. Because I want my sword, my bow to look like this. This is very dark with some very bright pieces. The bow before was a little too bright. So now, a bit of black really helped. I'll keep that very top part pure white for the most part. And I'll darken these tips in the two bottom ones, but the top one I'll leave pure white. So one thing I like about the Private Press inks, kind of like stain everything, so they're so super vibrant. It's like a great glaze. It can be a little too strong sometimes, but for the most part, it works out quite good. You just have to be prepared how vibrant it is. It's not like a wash. The inks are just like a million times stronger than that. And then just a little bit of going over it with this part. Good enough. Okay. Sorry, I missed what you said, Splattered Orc. I had a human barbarian, face was two separate pieces, didn't line up. Oh, wow. Huh.
Anytime you have a molds look like that, sometimes it's better just to get replaced.
Yeah, I mean, you can try and fill it with brown stuff and try and resculpt it, but it's never going to be the same. I have some pretty good tools, but even then, like those tiny little faces are just really hard. Trying to fix. Yeah. Sometimes you gotta pick your battles, so. Okay, let's do his hair. I'm just gonna do the hair cream. It'd be nice and neutral and stand out. Okay, so let's just base coat with my Moral White. Block it out. Make sure I don't splatter any of the white paint anywhere else. If I find my paint's a little too thin, it will splatter. Get little white specks or black specks. And those are the worst. I have a little black speck on his leg right there. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but I can certainly notice it. And it's kind of annoying me. Okay. So I'm just gonna block out with white and then go back with the mouth white base, which is the cream color, and just shade it from there. I'm doing this way, I'm kind of like doing like a two-brush blending method. Start bright and work my way down darker colors. Keeps the saturation up. Makes it more vibrant. Which is what I like. Gives a bit of a cartoony feel, which some people like, some people don't like. I really like it. It's my kind of style. Okay. Oh yeah, I'm almost gonna do the hair almost the same kind of style and colors as this bird skull. So it's gonna go from like a white to a cream, and then I'm gonna do like a dark brown over top of it in the recesses. I may as well do this part too. He's on his giant skull. I'll do all the bases together at the same time. Make things a lot faster. Okay. Sometimes if you have like mold slips splattered orc, you can kind of make it play with it and give it maybe it's like a scar or something like that. Sometimes give it a big like crack through the face. It's like, you know, like Tyrion had like an axe through his nose. You can just make it like all raw and pink and red. Even make it like even a battle wound even. Just have blood flowing through it. So I like about like inorganic stuff like warjacks, like robots, stuff like that. Kind of mold slip, you can kind of just like, play with it and make it battle damage, like a scratch or a dent into it. Okay. Oh.
Ooh, have fun at 5 a.m.
Yeah, 5 a.m. sounds
Have a good
rough. Alright. Have a good one. Hope you have a good weekend too. I'll be working over the weekend too, but at least I'll be able to sleep in. Not that I'm trying to rub it in or anything.
Todd's sleeping in his 7th.
Yeah. I don't sleep in it anymore. I used to love sleeping in when I was in high school. Not anymore, apparently. Body just betrays me. Internal alarm clock sucks.
I broke you when I worked in logistics and I got up at like 5:45 every day.
Ah, yes. Haven't got back to it. Okay. So let's just do some cream, mouth white base. Just do a somewhat thin coat onto the hair. And if it's a little thin, we'll just pool a bit, so we'll keep the tips a little more white than the rest of it. I'm also watering down with my own saliva, which helps too. Oh.
More potassium.
More potassium?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, bananas. Well, bananas are also good for your brain too and stuff like that. Helps with headaches and stuff like that, I find. Also hydration. Could have water breaks once in a while. Also
just like building up those muscles.
yeah, My fingers are very delicate, but I use them all the time, so. I also have like no grip on my fingers. Like, they're too delicate. But that's what you get for painting for many, many years.
Like, yeah, the stamina to like sit and paint for hours on end is.
Yeah, it's also good like every hour just like get up and walk. Also, like every maybe half an hour, like look around because it can wreck your eyes if you're like staring at the same kind of distance for like too long. If it's really close, it's like.
So, appropriate lighting, please.
Oh, so yes, lighting's very important because I have 2 lights, one on either side of the model, left and right side. Then I have the room lit from like a big light behind me, as well as I have a light which I don't have on right now, but it's coming from the back of me and it's over my shoulder, which really helps too. I guess when it gets really dark, I'd like to do that. It's like I got a lamp right here, so I've got like 7 lights if I really want to get into it. Really helps with your eyes too.
Improper lighting will permanently damage your eyes.
Yes. And my whole family has glasses and I don't, and I want to keep it that way. No glasses for me, please. But yeah, it's also looking away every little while helps with that, because just basically look at a model, like look like something that's maybe like 10-20 meters away. Just like let your eyes focus on it for maybe half a minute or a minute. This really helps. Little tricks like that. Like when you're having like a water bottle break, just grab it and look around, like look out the window, whatever. Helps when you have water though. Okay. So let's do the skull. So the skull, for both skulls, I'm just going to do pretty much the same way as the hair, except instead of doing the final shade of like a darker brown, I'm going to use like a wash. Be more vibrant. The fine bones can be pretty vibrant in like the recesses, so I'm just going to do that. So I use like a calcite white. Calcite wash. With the hair, I'll just do, I think it's called Battledust Brown, fading apart. I also find that I'm very light with my brushes when I'm holding them. Like, I'm not like gripping them really hard, I'm like very loose and light. I will drop my models and brushes on quite often though. But once or twice per session. But yeah. Because I'm not... I don't know. It's... Also, having the proper height of chair and stuff like that really helps. So you're not like hunched over too much or like too far back, or if your like legs are cramping, you might be too low or high, stuff like that. So adjust the height of your chair as well as height of your desk. There's many factors for painting, especially for commission painting. If you're painting hours every day, doing 5, 8, 10 hours a day. Okay. His hair's still drying. Let's block out his arrow shafts. I also find that painting on streaming is quite different from painting just normally. It's slower. You have to keep the model in the same position all the time. Because normally I'm like painting like this and it's like all over the place and stuff like that, getting the right angles and things like that. So just I get much sore quicker doing this kind of stuff. I'm always in the same position, stuck like it. So, just little things like that. Okay. Also, another thing is paints. Don't have toxic paints. I'm a brush licker. I lick my brushes all the time. And I suck the paint out sometimes if I'm like being lazy. I'm like paint something, I want to like blend it better. I like suck the paint out of it. And so if you have paint in your mouth, you're going to ingest it. Even if you try and spit it out, you'll still have residue and will ingest that. And if it's toxic paint or a terrible non-toxic paint, it'll still build up in your system and cause problems over time. And so I use P3 because they are meant to be like for two-brush blending, which has a lot of pink pigment in your mouth. So it's still not good to ingest it, but it won't really have any problems over time, hopefully. But they are designed in mind to have two-brush blending, so ingesting it. So for the skulls, I'm just going to do some calcite flesh wash, if I can find it. Here we go. I'm also going to water it down a bit with my mixing medium. Because I want more of a gradient feel than just having harsh edges. I don't use Games Workshop paints, so their inks might be different from their washes. Like, because P3 paints, P3 inks and washes are quite different.
I think they got rid of a bunch of their inks now that they've contrast out.
Yeah. Oh, that's unfortunate. More tools is better. So here's just slathering on some mixing medium with some ink. Much more of a gradient feel. Still, you don't want it to pool in weird places, so you gotta go back and just fix it up. But it does a lot of work for you. Actually, let's see his hair. I really want to use the ink for his hair, because it'd work really good, but it's really lazy. Whatever, I'm gonna do it anyway. I said I was gonna use a different color, but I'm not. I'm just gonna be lazy and just use my inks for this part. Unfortunately, the mixing medium does make it dry a lot slower, and I only like to do one layer of it, because it kind of dries on a little thick, so it'll start destroying details if you add too many layers of it. So just gotta be careful with mixing mediums. It is not the end-all be-all of painting. I do love using them. Okay, I'm just gonna start removing some of this with my fingers. Some finger painting. There we go. And I'll go back over it with some pure white and just pop out the edges. Muscle pinky. I always, most of the time my pinky is always like loose and off the model. I kind of do like the T thing. It feels like, maybe not pronounced like this, but it's always not really touching the thing itself. Okay. So he's basically done. I mean, he's not like finished, like same with the rest of the guys. I've got to do the bases, and the faces have to be done, and maybe a little more like details, like do more black edges, but for the most part he's done. Because like, I don't think his head's going to dry in the next 6 minutes. But I'll work on some other parts on it. Just get it ready for the post tonight. So like, just touch up his bow a bit more. Do you have a model holder? Oh, I've heard terrible things about Army Painter. Like, from their primer to their paints to lots of things. I just steer clear of it, but they could have changed it. That was a little while ago. Because I heard the primers have some big issues. Can be like, just like stuff peeling off models. It could also be the model's fault at that point, right? Didn't clean the model. Maybe it's a resin. The mold release might be a big issue, but I haven't personally used Army Painter.
You used their primer. You tried some of the paint though.
Did I like it?
No.
Was it too thick?
It didn't have enough pigment density for you.
Ah, yes.
Remember, it came in that box. So this is like a million years ago at this stage.
I thought maybe I'd use it at the Gen Con when I was doing the speed painting.
No, that was Reaper. That stuff's fine.
Okay. Reaper is good. It's just not very not very friendly for your ingesting purposes.
If you're not two brush blending, it seems like a pretty nice paint.
Okay. I'm just saturating some of those white specks I had going on earlier. Just a thin little coat.
I think with paint, it's also kind of a personal choice too, because different things will work best for different techniques you're using.
It's true. I do a lot of two-brush blending, and P3 paints are kind of meant for that. So they're very high pigment density, but also very thin. What?
Fluid.
Yes. And so maybe not the greatest for doing base coats, but overall very good for blending and stuff like that. Yeah, he's turning out pretty good. Not perfect, but kind of reminds me of like Sonic the Hedgehog.
I also think you're still in like competition painting mode.
Maybe, yeah.
Gotta switch back to commission mode here.
Well, it's fine. I did this guy in under 2 streams basically, so which is about the benchmark I want for these guys because they're centerpiece quality. Yeah, that's a noble goal, you might say, especially if you want to be a commission painter, being sponsored by somebody. I haven't yet to be sponsored by somebody, but maybe one day. I'm potentially might be getting some free products. No? Can't say that? I have to say it without I'm painting it, don't I?
Once it happens.
Yeah, once that. So I don't want to jinx it, you might say. Or at least Kat says that. Don't jinx anything.
Because they don't sponsor people usually.
Ah, okay.
You would be the first.
Potentially. I might just say no. Okay. I didn't get anything. I got a free model from them, but that was just for just being in general. I won. I was supposed to win it for like TACX painting competition many years ago, and then like a year or two later they gave it to me because they were basically just. I guess they didn't really realize.
Companies have featured your work, but that's a different relationship than being sponsored by someone.
Yeah, because I'm also relatively new streaming too, and so I haven't really had the foothold for streaming yet. The fan backing to get, but you know I do have quite a bit of following on like other social media stuff, which is nice. Like Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and stuff like that, but working on my Twitch followers, backing and stuff like that.
Also, I think for you, because you're not like painting on the stream, you're not painting like things for you. You're painting like things for clients. So the value of you having a sponsorship deal with someone might be.
Painted stuff for myself. I did this guy. I've done a couple things. I've been doing. I'm trying to be doing a little bit of a chibi, which is all the chibi stuff is for myself. So this is Impact Miniatures Chibi Cthulhu. I'm a big fan of Cthulhu, and so I did this for myself. He's not quite done. I got the wings to be a bit more better, but everything else about him is quite nice. He's a scary boy. Yes. Him and a little pot belly and his big old head. I do like how the eyes turned out. Anything else for myself?
Also, like once you have a sponsor, there's some legal considerations as well.
Okay.
Having to disclose like that it's a paid or sponsorship.
Yeah, well, if I get any kind of free models that I'm painting on stream for a company, whatever, I'll obviously disclose that kind of thing. I'm not gonna be trying sneaky about it like some Instagrammers. Okay.
Not in the painting world, just in the Instagram world in general.
Yeah. Alright. I am basically done this guy's streaming for now. So, I'm not going to be painting anymore, I don't think, but if we want to talk about things, that's fine. Otherwise, we're going to raid somebody.
Probably Mocha?
Right, Mocha, okay. So, well, we don't...
I feel like we haven't seen Mocha in a
Yeah, well, I haven't been streaming in like almost 2 weeks, it feels like, so. Thanks to my competition entries. Taking a lot of my time. Okay.
So back Tuesday?
Yeah, I'll be back Tuesday. I'll be doing... I think I want to change it up. I might be doing... I'll figure it out. I think maybe Chibi would be kind of fun. I've got some more of my own Super Gen Explorer I gotta do.
Or possibly some sci-fi board game.
Oh yeah, I do have another commission, or yeah, commission. This is one of my models I'm working on so far on stream. This is the Death Spectre for the Von Drack expansion for Super Gen Explorer, so this is my own personal work. Just took a long time. I'm kind of annoyed how it's still not even good looking yet. Gotta work on it more.
You're lucky that one's for you.
Yeah, I'm just annoyed with that. That'd be an hour. No, it took like more than 2 hours. Anyway. Alright, shall we,
Oh, we are actually definitely aware of the Creature Caster program.
Yeah, they're relatively close, so it's not too bad.
Yeah, we actually live like a couple hours away from them, so we definitely know that.
Yeah. I mean, we'll be going to the same convention in like a month or two. September, we're going to TechX. I'll be running the painting competition there, so I'll be judging and doing all that stuff. And they, yeah, we got prize support from them last year, did we? Or no, we didn't. Okay.
Anyhow, okay.
All right, we're me rating Mocha. So.
Have a good night, everybody.
Yes. Thank you for watching. Have a good weekend.
In 4 seconds.
I know. Alright. Have a good one, guys.